Meg's podcast boycotted after she faked the British accent to humiliate a guest as it tumbles to number 55 in the charts. Meghan Markle tried to impersonate a British accent in her latest episode of her Archetypes podcast, as she had welcomed actress Jameela Jamil with a cheerful ello. As the two women discuss activism in the 9th podcast episode, meant to deconstruct the labels that hold the woman back from achieving their full potential. But her attempt at showing off her ability to put on a British accent was met with a public backlash. The British actress greeted Meghan, saying, "You all right, babe? Hello?" And Meghan replied, "Hello," with what it seemed to be a mockery accent, as before speaking with the usual Californian accent. Mockney is a pretty simple portmanteau, as it combines mock and cockney, which is the name for a working-class accent that originated in the East End of London. One of the Mockney's most infamous perpetrators is a Dick Van Dyke, whose accent in Mary Poppins annoyed certain Brits so much that he later apologized for it. Her attempt at mimicking the British accent drew the ire of Twitter users and had mocked the Duchess. One podcast listener had tweeted, as quoted by the Daily Mail, "Is Meghan trying a British accent again?" While Twitter user @RoyalNews said, "Now making fun of the British accent. Please, Meghan, just shut up." Swiss Neutral said, "Pathetic, really." @Knopnop had added, "They are both as artificial as they come." As this isn't the first time that Meghan had been criticized because of an accent. Before, the Duchess of Sussex had faked the British accent during a public appearance in Cheshire, England. And in the clip, Meghan is reunited with a Givenchy wedding dress from her main nuptials with Prince Harry. And then the Twitter users was dissatisfied with her voice. When the Duchess of Sussex released her podcast, Archetypes, this summer, it didn't take long for it to rocket to the top of the Spotify charts, unseating the Joe Rogan Experience, and even earned a nomination in the People's Choice Awards. However, now Markle's podcast has tumbled in the charts, in which the latest episode is coming at number 55 in the US, whereas Rogan has returned to the top of the food chain on the platform. Her podcast, honestly, it depresses me. I don't listen to it, but I read bits and pieces of newspaper, as it is really sad that Meghan Markle has a platform to spread her victimhood. And even more sad that she has fans who find this podcast enlightening and educational. As according to the Joe Rogan, Meghan's podcast Archetypes had dropped around a year and a half after the Duke and the Duchess of Sussex Spotify deal was first announced, and it is on to its 10th episode, which had aired on Tuesday. Rogan said that listeners get a sense of what a person's like after a while, as I think he was referring to the fact that it took her so long to launch because she couldn't get the tone right, and Prince Harry had bailed altogether. And I agree with him that the listeners and viewers are turned away by someone who came across as inauthentic. Unfortunately for Meghan, she is not a very good liar. She always doesn't have the ink capable of faking interest in other people's stories or opinions, which doesn't bode well with the podcast's future. I also highly doubt that Meghan was truly number one Spotify, that was trying to claw back some of its cost, so manipulated the rankings. As Meghan has 1/10 of Rogan's listeners, and Spotify is throwing money into the ocean. As according to a source, Spotify is planning to serve Meghan's contract and her podcast that won't have a season 2. This rumor comes after Spotify's stock has been plummeting for 6 months. It was also ostracized because the podcast has been accused of spreading misinformation.